Well, here's some truth. Gen X has delivered Donald Trump to the White House. My people. We came before the internet. Your people, too.
Boo.
Before we bubble wrap society, we shrug off most things. We aren't sure why everyone is offended by everything.
Alright, in this video, we are going to review all of the best meltdowns in the 1 month period Donald Trump has been the president. Essentially, it's going to be a review of all of the meltdowns and the narrative changes we have seen so far, and there have been a lot. I'm going to play all of your most favorite meltdowns as well. So before we start this video, please like the video. It helps out so much, so others get to see the videos as well. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Only 1% of alien workers in the entire country work in agriculture. The top destination for illegal aliens are large cities like New York, like Los Angeles, and small industrial towns, of course, all across the heartland, as we've seen with the Biden floods. None of those illegal aliens are doing farm work. Those 30,000 illegal aliens that Joe Biden dumped into Springfield.
I'm talking about the ones that are.
No, but I'm explaining this. It's important to understand.
No, you're kind of changing the subject.
Hispanic Americans supported deportations in majority. You and I debated this many times. Yep. You claimed it wasn't true. And then what they do? They went and voted for Donald Trump. The election results are clear. There is no buyer's remorse. The people who followed our laws and came here legally are more than happy to see the laws enforced.
But here's what's...
Okay, so the number one theme by far in the political space and in the 1 month period Donald Trump has been the president is definitely the deportations. And the shocking news is this: border crossings are down as low as they've ever been since 60 years ago, and also the majority of Americans actually support what's happening currently within the Trump administration. I don't think left-leaning media or left-leaning political figures knew all of this was going to happen so fast and with so much support.
They wrote it down. They told you exactly what they were going to do and exactly how you were going to do it. And a majority of white people voted for this. This is the disgusting version of America that people want. And oh, by the way, eggs are still more expensive. So you didn't even get that. Great job, white folks.
Egg prices have risen 60%, from $2.51 a dozen to over $4 a dozen. Look, instead of lowering costs for your family, Trump's been focused on cutting funding for hot meals for seniors.
Well, first of all, I think anybody that's out making criticism about prices of anything after 5 days of a presidency is not someone you should listen to. If that is your political argument today, you're showing just how empty you are and exactly why Democrats lost the last election. They obviously understand nothing about how the American people are processing this.
Because there is a lot of reporting out there that is putting the onus on this White House for the increased cost of eggs. I would like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office, or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country. We also have seen the cost of everything, not just eggs. Bacon, groceries, gasoline have increased because of the inflationary policies of the last administration.
So another massive common theme right now and talking point are, of course, the egg prices. The Trump administration saying, look, this has already been an issue back in 2024 under Joe Biden. From the left-leaning media and Democrats, it's almost as if nobody remembers what happened in 2024. Thus, it's all Trump's fault. But I do find it interesting with all of the things going on around the world, beefing with Canada, beefing with Panama, having some other issues in Europe, we are still focusing on the egg prices. Let me know how you feel about all of that in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, we've moved on from Trump derangement syndrome to Elon derangement syndrome.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to defend his saying
the
Germans get to
Let me let him finish, Catherine.
I love this game we play where you talk for 2 minutes, I talk for 3 seconds, and you freak out. So he has a long record of supporting the Jewish people, number one. Number two, anybody who is asserting this thing he did on the stage the other day was a sig heil, which I just heard you say. You know, lawyer up maybe, because absolute ridiculous.
Why don't you do it on TV right now?
Is appreciation.
Why don't you do it on TV right now if you think it's so...
Number three.
So, you know, banal.
Number three.
But Elon Musk keeps on overshadowing Donald Trump. I mean, you had in the inauguration, then it was the hand gesture, quote unquote, that is the subject of great mystery and debate. Yeah, the subject of great mystery and debate.
Are you talking about, you're not one of these salute truthers, are you?
No, is that what we're calling it now? All I'm saying is, no, but what I'm saying is it engendered a great...
Okay, you guys are smart enough to know at the very, very beginning of Trump officially being the president, the number one goal, common goal, and today's goal, try and divide Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Since the very beginning, everyone has been comparing Elon Musk to the world's most evil man, a leader who's trying to take over the United States and overshadow Donald Trump. I could play you guys countless clips of this happening from day one.
This is real. This is, they're talking about defunding the police, things that they, puff their chests up and say they're good with, making the case. And I would let, to the voters, I'm with this too. Everybody's fatigued. Trust me, I get it. It was pure hell, and the disappointment and the frustration. And I'm, soul searching. What could we have done to make the case? Because we knew this was coming. We knew that the implications, and they're throwing so much at us that we're fatigued. We spent 3 days.
That if you are trying to actively hire illegal immigrants, if you think that's best, if you are trying to game the system, if you are trying to help someone break U.S. federal immigration law, I think if we're going to have a true crackdown on illegal immigration in this country, it has to involve everybody who's participating in it. And I think you've raised a good point with this topic. And so employers and anyone else who's part of this pipeline, I think they ought to be put on notice. And you got to play by the rule. Everybody has to play by the rules.
I don't want to hear that they're doing work that no one else will do. Talk to guys in the building trades, plumbers, contractors,
picking strawberries.
These building trades guys are being hurt.
I can't
by
wait.
labor that shouldn't be here.
I can't wait until American women can't get blueberries for their smoothies.
Okay, I will be honest with you. I feel bad every single time I play that clip on this channel of that news anchor trying to make a valid point that, look, the argument has always been illegal immigrants are working on farms. Without them, no jobs will get done. But again, the point of this video is to highlight and show you guys the roller coaster of themes. I'm trying to play these videos in succession from the beginning of Donald Trump officially being the president to where we are today. So you can see, even from my end, and I'm sure on your end, we're on this weird journey of a roller coaster of blueberries, illegal immigration, Elon Musk, and it's quite interesting to see how the media is trying to keep up with the Trump administration.
Number two, I didn't realize we were but 12 hours from full societal collapse after one government decision. I had no idea, but I appreciate the briefing. Number three, I think the American people are appalled at the amount of money that goes out the door every year, and it seems to be on autopilot, and it seems to be without political oversight. And I do think one of the lessons from the election was, can we get a little bit of political oversight over the unelected bureaucracy? And that is what they are attempting to do. Do I ultimately believe a lot of this is going to be walked back? Yes. Do I think members of Congress are going to draw attention to things that are quite necessary and quite useful? Absolutely.
Lunatic left-wing project that is bankrupting this country. But even beyond that, it was funding an army of left-wing activists, these NGOs, non-governmental organizations, NGOs. They get billions and billions of dollars, and they use that money to then infiltrate corporate America, to then infiltrate the public sector.
The Biden administration treated the press as poorly as any president has ever treated them, gave them less access, answered no questions, no transparency at any given time. Donald Trump's answered more questions in 3 weeks than Joe Biden answered in 4 years. Elon Musk answered more than
also a lot of the answers.
Come on, Brian. This administration is giving the most access to the press they could possibly want.
Just to be clear.
All right, so I think you knew this was going to come up. USAID right now is also on the radar as far as the entire political spectrum. But one thing I want to point out is this also ties into the transparency from the Trump administration, where the argument is from conservatives that, look, Donald Trump and DOGE, they're being so transparent, they're working with the media. On the flip side, Joe Biden was never pressed on anything, and this is why we had no idea what was happening with USAID. You pretty much did not get a lot of answers for a lot of things, but this sort of all ties in together as far as transparency, working with the media, and so on.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman, putting out a webinar, doing a webinar to help illegals avoid, I guess, apprehension.
So, number one, if you live in a community with a lot of immigrants, know your rights. That's one tangible thing you can do that I want you to do. This dude was whining his ass off because ICE went into the city of Chicago and Chicago had prepared for them. community organizers, activists, and their mayor and local elected officials who were solid on this issue. They educated the city on their legal rights.
I just want to follow up with this post that you had on X. You said that Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, U.S. citizen, should be deported to her home country of Somalia. Omar became a naturalized citizen at 17. Why did you do that?
Well, listen, my colleague Ilhan Omar, she is an American citizen. She is a member of the House of Representatives. I didn't call for her to be deported, but I did say that America would be better off were she deported. I think that there is a serious problem, particularly given after the past 4 years of open borders, of Democrats facilitating the invasion of our country by illegal aliens. My colleague Ilhan Omar was advising illegal alien Somalis on how to evade ICE detection.
So we are getting to like the peak of, I don't want to say disaster, but where we can start to see some issues happening if the DOJ actually starts to prosecute or go after members of government, whether senator, congresswoman, whatever. But another theme we are seeing is this really weird gray area I don't think a lot of people realize. If you are an illegal immigrant and you come into the United States, you actually have more rights than you think you do. Whether or not you want to agree with it and say, well, this is my country and not their country, it's under the Constitution that even an illegal immigrant does have some constitutional rights. Now, the question is this: are members of government getting into these illegal gray areas of advising and helping? That is going to be up to the court system if the Trump administration prosecution teams want to start going after members of government. Let me know what you guys feel about all of this, because this is definitely a very weird area I don't think we expected to get into. But in my humble opinion, if the Trump administration starts prosecuting members of government, whether even like mayors and so on, I think we can start seeing some massive divides in this country.
The question was, by definition, they're not being transparent. They can continue to be successful.
What do you want them to do?
Provide data. If they're provide data that they have found people, everyone would want to know if someone has received kickbacks to the tune of tens of millions of dollars.
I don't disagree with you. I love the idea of data. I love the announcements. I love them putting out regular reports of what they're doing.
Have not.
And I love the idea of Congress also bringing them up to report to Congress on what they're finding, because ultimately Congress needs to be engaged in this as well. I have no problem with that, and I don't think they do either, and that's what I heard in his press conference yesterday.
Okay.
I want to hear why, but do you think that calling Elon Musk a is effective messaging for confronting what is a potentially irreversible transformation of the U.S. government?
Well, he is a and I think that he's also harming the American public in an enormous way. And what I think is really important, and what the American public want, is for us to bring actual weapons to this bar fight. This is an actual fight.
Scott, you have been sounding the alarm about what Musk is up to, but you also call, it's one of my favorite terms that you use, you say that we are following weapons of mass distraction. Elaborate.
Well, and corporations do this. Let's not talk about self-harming our teen girls. Let's talk about gender balance in the workplace. This is the ultimate strategy. The gulf of distraction is how I would call most of this stuff. There are three things that Musk wants here. One, money; two, money; and three, money. His net worth has gone up by about $150 billion, despite the fact Tesla sales are crashing between 20 and 70% across Europe, down 15% year on year in China, because the market soberly predicts, unfortunately, that we're now in a full kleptocracy, and the shareholder value is a function of proximity to a corrupt president.
All right, so we are in that moment of time towards the 1 month mark, and the current era as I make this video. As far as the political landscape goes, everything is about transparency, transparency, transparency. Some people hate how transparent things are, and some people love how transparent things are. According to polls and statistics, a majority of Americans really like what's happening. However, you will see in the narrative that what Elon is doing is totally illegal, and it looks like a lot of this is going to be brought to the court systems, unfortunately.
Let me just take a moment and explain what sanctuary policies are about. When communities trust law enforcement, victims and witnesses of crime come forward, arrests are made, criminals are taken off the streets. When the opposite happens, trust is eroded. People are fearful to report. We are all less safe. And this is why hundreds of cities and many states across our country have adopted sanctuary policies.
President Trump has already saved thousands of lives just by the people he's kept out of the country these last 3 weeks. Do you have any idea how many criminals, how many potential...
Now, I try not to be too biased on this channel and poke all the fun at the Democrats and left-leaning media. If there's one thing where there is some negativity going on within the Trump administration, is everybody getting on board as far as the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of agreeing going on as far as who are we going to give more of leverage to, whether it's Russia or Ukraine. You have some statements saying we're pulling out of NATO, some statements saying Europe, you need to support yourself. Zelensky not liking all of the things even the United States is saying. But here is a clip from Scott Jennings that kind of shows a positive light as far as what's happening within the conflict.
Bowler earlier tonight with Caitlin Collins saying it may not be a one-to-one exchange. It may not be anyone at all. There's no way Putin is not going to get anything out of this deal. He wants something.
Yeah, I'm sure there was an exchange. I look forward to hearing the details. And I hope President Trump is right that this leads to a further set of conversations about how to bring peace to the region. I mean, what an amazing and emotional thing to hear this guy describe his feelings as he goes into the White House. He described Donald Trump as a hero. This is a great day for all Americans. It's a great day for the Trump administration, and it may just be the beginning of the end of this hostility.
All right, and Scott Jennings is referring to the American who has been held prisoner in Russia for quite some time. The school teacher, he was brought back. But the point is, this involves the U.S. and Russia negotiating in peaceful talks, and obviously Ukraine as well. Now, if you are still watching this video, I really appreciate it. There is news every single day. I could have put up about 1,000 clips if I wanted to. It made this video like 3 hours long, but I didn't want to do that to you. I wanted to show you guys the roller coaster of events of how the news cycle is going and why I think a lot of us are a little fatigued. We're trying to keep up, and that is why I make these videos for you guys. Thank you for everything. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you guys later.